Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be playing the tank that truly, absolutely despises me. But to be fair, it also despises absolutely everyone inside World of Tanks. This is the FV4005. It is the biggest gun inside the game, and at least on a tank, right? I know that tanks like the T-92 have a bigger gun, and back in the day they used to do more damage than this vehicle. However, since the artillery nerfs have happened, while they do have the bigger guns, they don't have the bigger damage. The FV4005, like the FV215B 183, has a 182.9mm caliber gun. Don't know why they needed to shave off that 0.1mm, but to all intents and purposes is a 183mm monster gun. Now, it's got two flavors of ammunition. It's got its HESH rounds, which are expensive. They cost 8,000 credits a shot. So while this tank truly hates me, my credit balance also really hates me for playing this vehicle. That is 8,000 credits in the red at the start of this battle. I probably should have waited for a little bit longer for the T-95 to cross. That would have been absolutely delicious to have a clean shot on the side of their vehicle. Now, when you hit with these HESH rounds, they have 230mm of pen, but if they do penetrate, it's 1,750 damage with a single shot. And remember, because they are HESH, high explosive squashed head, which basically works exactly like HE in World of Tanks, even if you don't hit the weak point and manage to penetrate the enemy vehicle, you are still going to be doing substantial amounts of splash damage. It's really weird with the HE nerfs in World of Tanks. They kind of hit every vehicle apart from the one that's spending 8,000 credits per shot. Yeah. Now, I would say that the FV405, when it does hit very, very thickly armored plates, does do less damage than it would do back in the day. But when it's still hitting plates that are roughly about 100 or something, it doesn't really seem to matter. And, well, there you go. There's one tank out the game. Now, I would have done exactly the same thing if I'd fired the AP round there in that scenario, unless I low-rolled. However, it's always just a little bit disappointing when you see that your friends hit the target because you have to aim for just a little bit more than they do. That's because the aim time on this tank is an atrocious 3.7 seconds and the accuracy is 0.42. However, at these kind of distances, it's not too shabby. Look at that! We just fire at the side of the Object 268 version 4. We don't penetrate, but we still do 886 damage. Really shows you that firing these HESH rounds is more or less 90% of the time the correct thing to do. Or maybe 90% is a bit of an exaggeration, more like 75 or 80% of the time the correct thing to do. Because even if you don't pen, you're still doing like 80-90% of the damage that you would have managed to get. Oh, that was a bad shot. That was very hopeful that I would hit the weak point there on the BZ-75. So you're going to be still doing like 80% of the damage that you would do if you penetrated an AP. And if you do penetrate that HESH, for some lucky reason, then you're rolling for kind of like plus 60% damage as to what the AP would have done. Because that makes this thing just so fearsome and so RNG based and just so extreme. And what happens when you have an extreme tank against the not brand new, but relatively new Chinese heavy tank? Yeah, that is pretty much a one shot. 1,890 damage dealt against the tier 10 Chinese heavy tank. And I'm quite happy that happened, because the more vehicles that are here, the more dangerous it's going to be for them all coming around the corner. And I'm showing you that to hold the valley, you don't only just have to actually hold the valley. Of course, if I was in a hold-down monster tank, I'd want to go for that kind of like F2 area and try and work my gun depression. But now I'm about to do one of the most stupid things I'm going to do in this entire replay, and that is I'm just looking for shots, and oh, what are those trades? What are those trades? Sometimes this vehicle, I think one of the reasons why it hates me is probably a bit of a skill issue, because after you get lucky with it, you kind of got that adrenaline rush and you just think, oh, everything's going to work. I'm just going to keep rolling the dice everywhere. And then suddenly you realize, yeah, that's not exactly going to be always the case that you're going to get lucky. And so I actually end up taking nearly 900 damage, only doing 329 to the Emil-2's turret. And this Kunze Panzer just constantly through the battle, start your withdrawal. And to be fair, in this kind of a scenario, you know what, I think he's right there. I think he's right. I actually reloaded an AP round there to hopefully take out the 50 TP just over 50% of the time if I was able to overmatch the top of his turret, or maybe even I was just to go through the front of the turret. Because these armor-piercing rounds are no slouch, with 310mm of penetration, 1,150 alpha damage, they're absolutely terrifying. But oh, I'm glad we got the Hesh here. Just finding the moment, and now pray for luck. And oh, wow, it looks like this tank for one day, and maybe one day only, doesn't actually hate me. And thank goodness we hit that shot, because we're down by 2 tanks and we're down by 1,000 hit points, but with 1,800 damage. Taking out the FE405 on the enemy team in a single shot, we've put our team right back into the action. Having created this little bit of a graveyard behind us, but also still having the flexibility of getting those long-range shots off, you can't really blame the enemy FE405s. They're the kinds of tanks that want opponents to push at them. They do very bad at attacking, because the armor on this thing's turret is 14mm, which is going to get overmatched by everything and penetrated by high explosive rounds from pretty much every single gun, even at tier 8. So you can't blame the FE405s for advancing, but they shouldn't take the shortcut. They should have gone round the east, and that's why you see me using a turbo on this vehicle, even on a map like this. I've got 2 builds for this tank. One is vents, accuracy, and rotation device. And that is for when you're only going to be camping in one spot and you just want to absolutely, utterly have the best accuracy and best gun handling that you can possibly have on the FE405. It turns this tank into more of a sniper, and quite often it's not about reloading the shells quickly, it's about landing the shells accurately. Because you can always reload for a little bit longer, but those kind of opportunities for the FE405, they come very seldomly. However, in this kind of a situation, you're going to see, even with a very long time of aiming, oh man, if I'd had the other build there, I'm pretty sure I would have hit that with the aiming device and with the rotation device to reduce the bloom when I'm moving. However, I'm going to be using vents, turbo, and gun rammer on this vehicle, so I've got better damage per minute to be able to try and survive close quarters situations and get the shells in quicker, and then I got the speed to be able to get where I want, and oh baby, that is about 1,000 damage blind there on the Char Future 4. I actually stopped a little bit after there to have a little bit of a chuckle to myself. I think that's probably one of the only saving graces of the FE405, is that when things actually go well, and you're still losing a load of credits, but at least you're having so much fun that you don't mind that you're losing credits in those kind of scenarios. But with that armor-piercing penetration there on the Char, that would have actually been a credit gain. And this is where the turbo is really going to come into play. This vehicle's top speed limit is 32 kilometers an hour. Back in the day, this vehicle was actually sickeningly outrageous. I think it could drive around at 40, or was it even 45, or maybe it was even 50. And these things were bombing it around, absolutely tearing up the matchmaker. And Wargaming significantly nerfed this vehicle, thank goodness, because it purely is a toxic tank inside World of Tanks. And when they nerfed it, they also massively nerfed its win ratio on average as well. I think it's down now to about 47%. And so, while it's the kind of tank that makes really good YouTube highlight videos or best moments, it's definitely not the kind of tank that you want to take out if you want to be the most competitive player. So in this kind of a situation, I'm just waiting, hoping that maybe the Emil or the 50 TP will fall back or try and find a different angle against the T95. And now I'm going to ask the T95 to push, because if the T95 pushes and distracts the Emil 2 and the 50 TP, then that will allow me to flank. And even with a turbo, it's still going to take me a good while to make this 300-meter dash out in the open. And again, when you're trying to hide a barn with 14 millimeters of armor, getting caught out in the open even for 100 meters, let alone 300 meters, is an absolute death sentence, especially against an auto-loading heavy. That's called Papa Fingers. Well, we're going to find out what is better, Quick Fingers or Papa Fingers in this scenario. Okay, well, Papa Fingers, I hope you're ready to get a bit of a surprise, 183mm surprise from behind, and he fires one. I give myself enough time to fully aim the shot, and Papa Fingers is no more. Only Quick Fingers is left, up to nearly 7,000 damage now. Actually, including the blind fire that we hit earlier, we're doing very healthy. But in this situation, the 50 TP has 560 alpha damage. We've got 549 hit points. This is looking rather grave. They're going to come around the corner. We're not quite reloaded yet, even with the gun rammer. We're going to put our gun in their gun. We caught the HE shell with the barrel of our vehicle. Look at it. We caught their HE shell that they were firing. I don't know why they were firing down on my hull. They should have just fired straight into my turret. And that actually absorbed the shell, and we survive against the 50 TP for long enough to be able to finish them off. And while this vehicle truly is a tank that despises me, it has my worst win ratio on pretty much any tier 10 tank, if not at least all of my tier 10 tank destroyers. And well, it's probably a little bit of a skill issue. It's also that this vehicle just completely doesn't match my playstyle. I'm not that kind of like wait and ambush and be patient kind of guy. I want to go in, I want to go fast, I want to have high DPM, and I want to push my opponents as aggressively as I can. And this thing is definitely something that rewards patience. And so I can fully admit, as I said with this vehicle, it's definitely a bit of a skill issue with me, and that if you're a very good player, you're still going to do some tremendous things with the FV405. And I think it's only fair that the FV405 truly is the kind of tank that just hates everyone, including me, and especially its enemies, as we saw in this replay. Nevertheless, as with any vehicle that is so RNG based, if you just get lucky like me in this replay, it doesn't even really matter how consistent your plays are. We managed to smash over 8,000 damage with 6 penetrating shots in this round, a top gun for our 6 kills, and if you're wondering how much I spent on ammunition, nearly 70,000. And it can be way worse than that with this vehicle. Trust me on that. And that was even with a few armor-piercing, penetrating shots, for which the rounds only cost 2,250 credits rather than that monstrous 8,000 credit price tag. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was the tank that hates me. Although, yeah, when we look at the win ratio, which has actually gone sub 47%, it looks like it might be the kind of tank that hates everyone, at least with regards to their win rate. Hope you all enjoyed the video today. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below whether you're an FV4005 lover or hater. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Monday, there is a brand new series of monthly Twitch drop tokens starting today, where you can get 3D styles, days of premium, consumables, and a lot more. And if you're a very patriotic individual, you can even get yourself the Star-Spangled Banner style for watching my streams on Mondays and Fridays throughout June. So I'm streaming live right now, really looking forward to seeing all of you, and as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.